have a lot to rant about and talk about, so I'm back. So The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 just came out. Last week they released episodes 1 and 2, and a couple days ago they released the 3rd episode. This book series means so much to me, and the show means a lot to me. Even though the show is like really cringy, I live for it. I really just wanted to go through the episodes, not scene by scene. I'm gonna be so honest, there's a lot of things I'm gonna skip because it's boring and pointless. But I kind of wanted to just go through and compare some of the scenes that they're using in the show compared to the book. I know it's not going to be completely the same, but there's certain scenes in the show that are just missing so much context that was in the book. And people will call us Conrad girls delusional, but it's like, okay, but you didn't read the book. You didn't read the book. You're missing key information and even things that Belly has said herself from the book that she's not saying in the show, because in the show she's the delusional one. Okay, so let's go through episode 1, and I'll just pull up some random things that were the same in the book and then go from there. I am wearing a little shirt that it's like a little cream shirt, and it has such a cute little bow in the back, and it has little blue flowers on it because I don't know, it reminded me of the dress that Belly wore at the party with like the little blue flowers. Okay, so one of the biggest differences I've noticed in the show is that in the show, obviously they show her going to Finch, and her and Jeremiah are there together, and they do a time jump of 3 years. And so that means that Belly is like a junior, about to be a senior, and Jeremiah is supposed to be graduating, right? So that's how it is in the show. In the book, she is 18 and he's like, 19. She finished up high school. He finished up his first year at school, and then they get there and it kind of does a baby time jump where it just says he was a sophomore, she's finishing up her freshman year of college. In the show though, they're making it seem like they dated a lot longer compared to the book, which is interesting. I mean, it's interesting because then the Laurel crash out wouldn't be as crazy. There are a lot of people saying that the show is rushing like crazy and that a lot happened in the first episode, and a lot did happen in that first episode. I'm not gonna like put that past you. A lot did happen. In the book, the party starts to happen on page 9, okay? And she finds out about the cheating incident on page 15. So it's how the book starts. So that's how the show started. So it is a lot that happened, but it's the same both ways. And I feel like it's so important to have that happen right off the bat, because then it just sets you up with that like, are you sure? Like kind of questioning tone for the rest of the season. In the show, the party scene's pretty much accurate. Word for word, Lacey says, whatever happens in Cabo stays in Cabo. Belly, it was when we were on that break, when we were broken up. And she goes, our so-called breakup that lasted all of a week, it wasn't even a real breakup, not for me. How was I supposed to know that? I swear I didn't want it to happen, it just happened. And she's like, I don't want to hear it. He said it's a mistake. She said, a mistake? You called that one a mistake? She said, I don't even know who you are anymore. I think I'm gonna get sick. He's trying to help her, and she says, don't touch me. And he admits what happened. Okay, he admits what happened in Cabo. And I literally wrote in my book, I'm like, smallest man who ever lived. The smallest man that ever lived. And I am also a very big Taylor Swift girl. Okay, so is Jenny Han. And so many times I'll write down song lyrics or songs of Taylor Swift, because that's exactly what it is. You're the smallest man who ever lived. Like, it doesn't matter if they were on a break. To have dated for as long as y'all have, which in the book it's like 2 years that they've dated. In the show, it's like 3 years or 3.5 years that they've been dating. To be on a break and say that she is the one and she's the love of your life, it's only her, it's only always been her, it's always going to be her, and then 4 days later go and get with somebody. In the show, it happened twice, okay? In the book, it only happened once. It still is so crazy to me. 4 days? 4 days. She meant that much to you, then you would have everyone grieves different, right? But that's not a form of grief at all. You're just immature and stupid. Okay? Yeah, she said, maybe to you that doesn't mean anything, but it means something to me, and you knew that. You've ruined everything. I'll never trust you again. And he said, I'm telling you, the thing with Lacey didn't mean anything. And Belly goes, it means something to me, and it obviously meant something to her. And he said, I'm not in love with her. I'm in love with you. What do you mean? That's a funny way of showing it, Jeremiah. That's a funny way of showing it. Oh my gosh. That's the party scene. Party scene's pretty much the same. Honestly, I'm not going to say too much about Steven and Taylor because in the book, hardly anything is said about Steven and Taylor, okay? Hardly anything. In the show, it's like the entire show pretty much is Steven and Taylor, it feels like. Like, they're not giving Conrad any scenes, but they're giving Taylor and Steven all of it. And I think they're cute. Like, don't get me wrong, I think they're cute, but like...
I also hate how they're making cheating so casual this season. Like, I'm not rooting for you. You deserve each other, but I'm not rooting for you. Sorry.
I'm here for Conrad, okay? So, when they're talking about Cabo and they're like reliving the whole fight, he says, if you're so worried, then just come with us. It'll be fun. And I highlighted this part because Belly says, he did not say, if you are worried, you shouldn't be. He said, if you are worried, you should come with us. And she said, I knew he didn't mean it that way, but it still bothered me. In the show, he kept going on about like, you're saying that it's stupid. Like, why would you want to go? And she's like, oh, like other girlfriends are going to be there. And he said, yeah, but I didn't think that you'd want to go. Like, you know, whatever. It still is like a surprise. It kind of happens pretty much the same way in the show. Okay, and then Jeremiah in the book, he says, oh my God, Belly, just admit that this isn't about my dad. You're paranoid about me going on spring break without you. And she said, why don't you just admit to me that you didn't want me to go in the first place? And then he goes, if you don't trust me by now, I don't know what to tell you. That's insane. Okay, that is insane. If she doesn't trust you, you haven't given her like any reason to trust you. If there's any doubt in her body, then you've given her reason to have that doubt, okay? Like, don't throw it on her. So Jeremiah does this thing where obviously his dad has compared him to Conrad his entire life, right? Not okay. Not okay at all. But he does this thing where because that's been instilled in him to be compared to Conrad his entire life, he compares himself to Conrad over and over and over and over again, okay? And so whenever he's like starting to be like, I'm not pre-med, I'm a lazy frat guy, right? Is that it? Like, whatever. And she goes, don't put your inferiority complex on me. She says that in the show too. In the book, he goes, what does that even mean? Inferiority complex? Like, and that's just so funny. He didn't say that in the show, but he did say that in the book, and it's funny. It's just like, dude, like, really? You don't know what that means? That's crazy. A lot of people, obviously, are like, she likes Jeremiah. Just get over it. Just get over it, whatever. This is something that Belly says in the book, okay? It was something I had thought before, but never voiced. Conrad was the one who was pre-med. Conrad was the one at Stanford, working a part-time job at a lab. Jeremiah was the one who told people he majored in beerology. Like, loser. And like, okay, if you are just watching the show because you love the show, awesome, amazing. If you are watching the show and you've wanted to read the books, like this, I'm just kind of like comparing certain scenes from the book and the show. If you have not read this book, read this book. If you are Team Conrad, read this book because she validates everything that you're feeling, everything. Like, so many things she thinks about Conrad and she says it in her head, or she'll even say it out loud sometimes. And it's like, she is so in love with Conrad. It's insane. It's insane. So if you've never read this book, you have to read this book. In the show and in the book, Jeremiah is the one that ends it, okay? Jeremiah is the one that ends it. In this, he says, screw it. I won't waste your time anymore. Let's end it now, okay? And he says, if like in the show, he says, I won't waste your time anymore. Like, I'll just leave. Let's end it. Okay. And obviously to Belly, it's like, oh my gosh, she just ended this, like whatever. But it's, you know, that's like the first fight. You're not just going to break up over the first fight, whatever. It's just so crazy the way he backs himself up of like, it was real to me. Like, yeah, it may have felt real to you because you're the one that did it, but like, you didn't even check in on her. And the fact that you thought it was real and then you're just like, okay, let me just go get with this other girl. Like, you have problems. She says, the fact that she knew him in a way I didn't yet, had experienced something with him that I hadn't, that felt like the biggest betrayal of all. That's how she feels in the book. Obviously, in the show, it's pretty much the same of like, why would you go with her? And the fact that she's like not even playing, like she's just like playing it off like nothing. Like she reacts to it in a certain way, like at the beginning, and then after a while, it's just like, okay, girl. Okay, girlie. Whatever. She goes and she tells Annika, Jeremiah cheated on me. And then Annika's like, not telling is the same thing as lying. He should have just told you. Him turning it into a secret, that's what gave it power. That's what gave it power. And she's telling herself the same thing in the show. I hadn't told anyone, not even Annika or Taylor. I had told myself that because it wasn't important. And then I had put it out of my mind. The past couple of years, I sometimes pulled out a memory I had of Conrad and looked at it, admired it. Sort of the same way I looked at my old shell collection. Even after Jeremiah and I started dating every once in a while, sitting in class or waiting for the bus trying to fall asleep, I would pull out an old memory. The first time I ever beat Conrad in a swimming race. The time he taught me how to dance. The way he used to wet his hair down in the mornings, which I think is such a good detail because obviously in season 1, they had that moment where he was in the shower, the outside shower. She had her little pomegranate margarita and she's like, I like when you wear your hair wet. It's so romantic. And he's like, I don't know, he's like, what? Like, so I like highlighted that, the way he used to wear his hair wet in the morning, and I quoted romantic because she loves when his hair is wet. In the Christmas scene in episode 2, his hair is wet. He comes downstairs and his hair is wet. And I just thought that was a fun little like nod to the book girls, okay? So the Christmas scene with her and Conrad, pretty much word for word. And I loved that. I loved that. The whole like, she's like freaking out. He's like, you have the mini candy cane. She said he smelled like peppermint and Christmas. And okay, obviously when you see the show, you watch when she opens the door. You know how she's feeling, right? But I love in the book that you get to see how she's feeling and you get to like feel exactly what she's feeling. It's just so, again, read the book. Read the book. She says, my heart nearly stopped beating. I knew that voice. It was not the voice of a burglar. It was Conrad. I flung the door open. It really was him. I gazed at him and he gazed back. I didn't know it would feel that way to see him again. Heart in my throat, hard to breathe. For those couple of seconds, I forgot everything and there was just him. It's just so cute. Like the fact that he literally takes her breath away. You don't say the same about Jeremiah. Like, you're talking about how you hate how he leaves his snotty tissues around, how much weed he smokes, and all these things, how immature he was and how not thoughtful he is. She makes it a big point in this book of being like, when he has a cold, he treats it like he has the flu, and like, we always get what he wants to eat. He's not very thoughtful. I thought that he would think of that. I almost wish that he would think of that. I like thought that he would, like, whatever. It's like a whole point in the book. So she like hates him, okay? She like talks about him like she is like so annoyed with him. The whole, what, did you put your head in there to save time with the chocolate on her face? That was so funny. I love that. Obviously in the show, whenever he's like, do you want me to start a fire? She said, yes, I couldn't get it going for some reason. In the show, they do the whole like flashback to obviously them. And he's like, actually, it's too late for a fire. And here she's like thinking about 2 Christmases ago, how so much had happened. And when they were like long distance, but they went back to cousins, just like in season 2 when they were like together. And she goes, maybe he was thinking the same thing because he said, it might be too late for a fire. I think I'm just going to go crash. And then obviously whenever she falls, she hurts herself. It's literally word for word whenever he's like, are you okay? And she's like, leave me alone. He's like, are you hurt? Can you move? And she said, I thought you were gone. He said, no, still here. Like lays down next to her. And he's like, I'm going to pick you up. And she's like, no, don't. Like, you can't even, I'm too heavy for you. I'll just get up in a minute. He's like, I know I can't bench press my body weight like Jer, but I can pick up a girl belly. Love that. Oh my God. Okay, in the book, she talks about freshman 15 because Steven is like constantly being like, oh, like freshman 15, like you gained the freshman 15. She's like, oh my God, Steven, like leave me alone. Oh my gosh, and I felt that. But for me, it was the freshman 30. So anyways, I lost it all now, okay? Anyways, in the book, she talks about the freshman 15 with him. And she's like, it's not that. I'm heavier than you think, you know, freshman 15 or whatever. And she said, my face got hot and I momentarily forgot about how badly my back hurt or how weird it was that he brought up Jeremiah. I just felt embarrassed. And in a quiet voice, he said, well, you look the same to me. And then she goes, it was more like 10, freshman 10. And he said, don't worry, I've got you. Then he like gets her Advil, puts her on the couch. And then, I mean, he goes to get her some Advil while she's sitting on the couch. And here is the one thing that she changed from this scene, okay? In the show. That's when she had the realization where she said, oh my God, a part of me will always love you, okay? In the book, she said, oh my God, I still love you. Book girls. Hey, book girls. That's so different. It is different. Like, it is. Show, a part of me will always love you. Book, I still love you. Crazy. And Jeremiah Stans want to sit here and say that she doesn't love Conrad? She does. That's her secret. That's why it's such a big secret. In the show, when she says that a part of me will still love you, a lot of people were like, what secret? What are you talking about? That's like literally nothing. And it's like in the show, it kind of feels like, I mean, it just feels like a cute memory, and like, obviously a part of her still loves him, but like in the book, it's like, that is huge. That is huge. Like, okay, is Belly emotionally cheating on Jeremiah? Yeah. Yeah, I'll say it. Okay. Does Conrad deserve better? Absolutely. Absolutely, Conrad deserves better, okay? But for the sake of the show and the triangle, like, Belly, Conrad's the better choice. I don't know if Belly deserves him or, like, Conrad deserves better, but he's the better choice. Now, obviously in the show, they cut to her, like, talking with Annika. Book, right after she says, oh my God, I still love you, then she continues to talk about him, okay? So this is how she thinks. She said, I thought my feelings for Conrad were safely tucked away, like my old rollerblades, like the little gold watch my dad bought me when I first learned how to tell time. But just because you bury something, that doesn't mean it stops existing. Those feelings, they've been there all along, all that time. I just had to face it. He was a part of my DNA. I had brown hair and I had freckles, and I would always have Conrad in my heart. He would inhabit just that tiny piece of it, the little girl part that still believed in musicals, but that was it. That was all he got. Jeremiah would have everything else, the present me and the future me. That was what was important, not the past. Okay. He's a part of my DNA. That's crazy. That's insane. That is insane, okay? Maybe I'm just like a hopeless romantic, but like to say that he's a part of your DNA is insane. I appreciated how in the show they showed Conrad more kind of in his situation. They do show him a little bit in the book, but in the show, I mean, you really do get to see his emotional maturity, like how he's becoming more mature and he's trying to better himself just from the simple fact of him going to therapy. That's huge, okay? I like the fact that Belly was so unaware of his feelings. It was always just me, and Conrad's doing this, Conrad's doing that, but like it's hurting me, whatever. And like even that simple scene of they're in the kitchen and Laurel's like, oh, you're talking about getting a hotel room right in front of me, I must be the cool mom, whatever. She's like, no, like whatever. They're talking about after prom and getting the hotel room. And Belly's over here like all giggly, whatever, and Conrad's just sitting there disassociating like crazy. His mom is dying. His mom is dying. And he started to do that a lot, disassociating and just kind of like going through the motions and like they're forgetting the corsage because he just didn't want to be there. He wanted to be with his mom, or he just wanted to be with his thoughts. He didn't know how to process it. And her just breaking up and being like, you don't care about me, all these things. It's like, no, Belly, his mom is dying. You're so inconsiderate of his feelings. It's all me, and you're so inconsiderate, saying that he treated you like crap. Could he have treated her better? Yes, but she never took into account that Susanna was dying. Like, and even like on the day of her funeral, whenever she finds Conrad, okay, she finds Conrad upstairs with that girl. Conrad's laying in that girl's lap and he's sobbing. And she like freaks out. She's like, oh, fine. I'll just like leave. I don't want to like interrupt, whatever. She made that whole thing about her. She like starts screaming at him, whatever. It's like, girl, can you like get out of your bubble? Like have some self-awareness, please. The engagement, that was a big deal. That was a big thing, okay? In the show, obviously it happens at the hospital where Steven got in the accident. He's in a coma. Not really, but like, and I mean, he was in a medically induced coma, okay? That's where Jeremiah decides to propose to Belly. I honestly feel like they added that in there just to kind of give Steven and Taylor something, and to put the engagement at the very end of the episode, because in the book, it's not as split up as it is in the show. Like, She finds out he cheated at the party. She runs away. She doesn't talk to him for a little bit. Then they see each other and he explains to her like how much it happened, and then they don't see each other again, and then they see each other at the hospital, and that's when he proposes. In the book, she finds out he cheats. She goes home. Doesn't talk to him for a few days. Text him, we need to meet up. Then he's talking. And so he goes to her bed in her dorm room, and she's like, how do I know you wouldn't do that again? How can I trust you? And then she says, I thought he was leaving, but then my heart nearly stopped. He got down on one knee right in front of me. Very softly, he said, you could marry me. And she said, at first I wasn't sure I'd heard him right, but then he said it again, this time louder, marry me. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring, a silver ring with a little diamond in the center. This would just be for starters until I could afford to pay for a ring for myself, with my money, not my dad's. And she's like freaking out. And he said, I love you so much. These past couple days have been hell for me without you. I'm so sorry for hurting you, Bells. What I did was unforgettable. I know that I hurt us, and I'm going to have to work really hard to get you to trust me again. I'll do whatever it takes. Would you be willing to let me try? And she said, I don't know. And he said, I'll try so hard to you, I swear. Like, he's like, I'll learn how to cook. We'll get an apartment, whatever. Don't you see, Belly? It's been our story all along. Yours and mine, nobody else's. And she said, you just want to erase what you did by marrying me. Yes, he sure does. Okay, he sure does want to erase everything just by marrying her. And he said, no, that's not what this is. What happened the other night, it made me realize something. I don't ever want to be without you, ever. You're the only girl for me, and I've always known it. In this whole world, I will never love another girl the way I love you. And he said, do you still love me? She said, yeah. He said, then please marry me. She said, you can't ever hurt me like that again. He said, I won't. Isabel Conklin, will you marry me? And she said, yes, I'll marry you. Okay, so it's like, she finds out, they don't talk, then they're like in the middle of a talk, and she's like, why would you do that? Like, whatever. They're kind of, they're arguing with each other. And then he's like, you could marry me. She's like, what? And he's like, marry me. And she's like, you just want to erase what you did by marrying me. And then he's like going on this whole long spiel about like how she's the only one for him. In the show, they downplay that so much, where it's just like, I don't know, they're like talking, whatever, and she's like, I don't want to erase the past 4 years that we've had together, and she's like, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. And he's like, what do you, and then he's like, Isabel Conklin, will you marry me? Didn't get down on one knee, didn't have a ring, didn't do a whole long speech, just, Isabel Conklin, will you marry me? I'm sorry. What? Like, I don't know which one's worse. In this one, they're like, he's like talking through the engagement almost, like talking through it of like, just marry me, just marry me, just marry me, just marry me. But in the show, I guess like the show, she completely wiped everything that happened in her mind. It's like ignorant. She's being ignorant. Being like, well, whatever, like he loves me. Like we had such an amazing 4 years, whatever. Oh, did you forget that 5 months ago he got with another girl? Twice? Like, that's insane. Like, at least in the book, she had some sort of hesitancy, okay? In the show, they showed her hesitant about just talking to him and getting back together with him, and then she just instantly marries him, and then it's like, okay, girl, what was that? Like, you're over here freaking out to just take him back in 2 minutes that y'all talk together? Like, this, they're talking for a long time, and there's hesitancy in it of, like, you're just trying to erase everything. He's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then in the show, no hesitancy at all. It's crazy, okay? The difference is insane. Okay, episode 3. Obviously, episode 3 is the memorial, and, Jeremiah's going to do his speech, and they have the dinner. They kind of mixed together some certain scenes in the book for the show, and that's fine. Like, in the book, she is out to dinner with just her dad and Jeremiah, and she's talking about how her dad's not rich. He's not poor, but he's not rich. He doesn't have a lot of money, and they went to a pretty expensive place, and Jeremiah got the most expensive thing on the menu, and she's like, my dad wasn't poor, but he definitely wasn't rich either. When the waitress came over to take our orders, my dad ordered the salmon, I got the New York strip, and Jeremiah said, I'll have the dry-aged ribeye medium rare. The ribeye was the most expensive thing on the menu. It cost $38. I looked at him and thought he probably didn't even look at the price. He never had to. And then she's like, it's going to change when we get married. No more spending money on dumb stuff like vintage Air Jordans or steak. Then they start talking about the summer. And then she says, when the bill came, I saw my dad squint and take a closer look. I hope Jeremiah didn't notice, but when I realized he hadn't, I kind of wished that he had. So obviously they mixed that with the memorial dinner with her whole family of Jeremiah and his dad getting the most expensive thing on the menu. Then she like barely gets a meal, and Conrad got the salmon, which is the cheapest entree. In the show, she's obviously on the phone with Jeremiah. They're talking about the wedding, and they're talking about, should we tell him? Like, do we even think he's coming? Like all these things. And in the book, she says, I was afraid that he was coming, and then I was afraid if he wasn't coming. Okay. This is one of the scenes that if you have not read the book, you might just think, oh, this is a cute little get ready, like getting ready for like a big thing, making yourself all cute, such a girly little scene, right? In the show, they're showing the same thing of Belly drying her hair, washing her hair, shaving her legs, getting like, you know, her dress on. She even cut her ankle the same like in the book, but there's nothing over that. It's just her getting ready for the day, right? That's like one of my favorite things that happens in the book. This scene means so much to me as a girl, just as a girl simply from the book. It's not really portrayed the same on the show. So let me show you. So they're talking. Her mom says, Conrad's definitely coming today, right, Bean? And Belly goes, you're the only one who talks to him, not me. Her mom says, I haven't spoken to Conrad in a few weeks, but I'm sure he'll be there. He wouldn't miss something as important as this. And Belly didn't say anything, so her mom said, do you disagree? And Belly said, sorry, Mom, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. I didn't know why I couldn't just agree with her. I didn't know what was holding me back. And then this is the part. She says, because I really did believe he was coming. If I didn't, would I have taken extra care with my hair that morning? In the shower, would I have shaved my legs not once, but twice, just to be safe? Would I have put on the new dress and worn those heels that made my feet hurt if I truly didn't believe he was coming? No. Deep down, I more than believed it. I knew it. She took extra care with everything. She thought about everything that she was doing, the way that she was going to look, in the hopes, just in case that Conrad showed up. Just in case Conrad showed up. That's being a girl right there. Obviously in the show, it looks like Conrad's not there, right? Whenever Jeremiah is giving his speech. If you look in the very, very background, you can see his little head, okay? You can see his head in the very background. So he's there, but we didn't know that he was there. We just see him come up to Belly, like after the speech. So I really hope that the next episode they do kind of like his point of view, because obviously they left him at the restaurant. I hope that it is now his point of view so that we can get this. In the book, he said, I saw her before she saw me. In the front row, I saw her sitting with my dad and Laurel and Steven. She had her hair pulled back, pinned up on the sides. I'd never seen her wear her hair like that. She had on a light purple dress. She looked grown up. It occurred to me that she had grown up while I wasn't looking, that there was every likelihood that she had changed and I didn't know her anymore. But when she stood up to clap, I saw the Band-Aid on her ankle and I recognized her again. She was Belly. She kept messing with her barrettes in her hair. One was coming loose. He mentioned the freaking Band-Aid. Oh my gosh. And they showed the Band-Aid in the show too. So I want them to do this whole scene just because it's cute. It just shows how he notices the details. If there's one thing Conrad's going to do is he's going to notice a detail, and he's all about the details and he's all about the little things, right? And that proves that. That just shows that. Just like he loves the little things and the details, and he appreciates every single detail about Belly. Everything. And he said, I watched her sit down in the first row in the seat next to Belly. I watched him take her hand. The muscles in my stomach clenched. Okay, and then he kind of hides. Then back in Belly's point of view, they did the same thing in the show. Jeremiah's like, what kind of flowers do you want for the wedding? She said, I don't know, pretty ones. And then it goes, then I saw him. Standing there in the back was Conrad in a gray suit. I stared and he lifted his hand in a wave. I lifted mine, but I didn't move. I couldn't move. Next to me, I heard Jeremiah clear his throat. I started. I'd forgotten that he's standing next to me. For those couple of seconds, I forgot everything. Conrad's giving everyone a hug, and she said hi, and she said, I didn't know what to do with my hands. I left them at my side. And Conrad said hi. Then he opened his arms wide. He gave me a look that was a lot like a dare. Hesitantly, I stepped in them. He crushed me into a bear hug and lifted me off the ground a little. They did the same thing in the show where he lifts her he lifts her off the ground. She squealed, and it says, when Conrad set me back down, I moved closer to Jer. he wasn't laughing. I saw a lot of people talking about this on TikTok about how it was weird that Conrad was like calling her a little sis when, you know, y'all dated for 6 months. It's like worded the same way in the book and in the show. A lot of people are missing that that Jeremiah and Conrad's dad was the one that said it first. He said, Conrad's glad to have his little sister around again. And that just kind of, I saw a lot of people talking about this where people were like, oh, why would he call Belly Conrad's little sister if he knows that they're dating? Their dad's not around much. And he obviously doesn't care about anyone other than himself. So he probably, like, if he knew, I'm sure he knew, but he probably just thought it was nothing, right? And that they weren't together for a very long time. And obviously he doesn't know how serious it was. And so he called them he called her little sis. And it's so weird. So Conrad did the same thing in the show that he did in the book. How have you been, little sis? And he said, it says part mocking, part mischievous. I knew that look. I'd seen it so many times. And then they're talking. They're like, I'm starving. Let's go, like, take some pictures. She's standing next to Jeremiah and Conrad and whatever. Obviously, Belly and Jeremiah are in the car, and he's like, maybe we should just make this day about my mom. Like, maybe we should wait. And she's like, I don't want to have to wait. You and me getting married is about family. It's about our two families coming together as one. And he grabbed her hand, and he said, I want you to be able to wear your ring right now, loud and proud. She said, I am loud and proud. And he said, okay, then let's do it how we planned. She said, okay. So they were just going to tell them at the dinner, right? She didn't scream out the window like she did in the show, that in the book, but I thought that was cute. Like, if I was rooting for her and Jeremiah, I'd think that was cute, right? Like, but I'm obviously not rooting for them. So. Stephen did the same thing in the book and in the show where he's asking Conrad, like, why don't you ever leave California? And Conrad's like, I'm here, aren't I? And Stephen's like, yeah, for the first time since you left. You got a girl out there? And Conrad's like, no girl. Then their dad is saying, I'd like to make a toast. I want to thank everyone for coming together today to celebrate Susanna. It's a special day, and I'm glad we can share it together. To Suze. That was the toast in the book. I just think it's funny how in the show, like, they're really dogging on Jeremiah, okay? They're really dogging on it. Like, the way they made Laurel and Adam do the toast for each kid. That didn't happen in the book, obviously. I just read that. But obviously his dad is saying, you know, Conrad, he's doing an internship, future doctor. And then he goes to Jeremiah and he's like, our super senior. Like, cheers, a toast to our super senior. Let's hope, like, fingers crossed that it'll just be one more semester before the diploma. And it's like, you really did that. You really did that. So in the show, that's what happens. He, like, dogs on Jeremiah, and then Belly sees that. And obviously, Belly has this, like, need to protect Jeremiah and mother him. And, like, I don't know. She has this need to stick up for him in every circumstance, when a lot of times, like, he doesn't need you to stick up for him. He needs you to call him out, because he has this, like, he's on a pedestal almost, okay? So in the show, Belly notices after the toast that Jeremiah is hurt. So she's like, okay, I'm going to say it. Like, I have news. We're getting married, whatever. And then obviously, like, we'll talk about what happens in a second, but in the show, Belly's the one that says it, okay? In the book, it says, Jeremiah gave me this look, like, get ready, it's happening. He said, I have something to say. While everyone was waiting to hear what it was, I snuck a look over at Conrad. He had his arm draped around the back of Stephen's chair. They'd been laughing about something. His face was easy and relaxed. I had this wild impulse to stop Jeremiah, to clap my hand over his mouth to keep him from saying it. Everybody was so happy. This was going to wreck it. Jeremiah said, I'll just go ahead and warn you, it's really good news. Jeremiah flashed a smile at everyone, and I braced myself. He was being too glib, I thought. My mother wouldn't like that. I asked Belly to marry me, and she said yes. She said yes, so we're getting married this August. Then she says, it's like the restaurant got really quiet all of a sudden, like all the noise and chatter got sucked out of the room. Everything just stopped. I looked across the table at my mother. Her face was ashen. Stephen choked on the water he was drinking. Coughing, he said, what the? And Conrad. His face was completely blank. It was surreal. And obviously they do the whole, are you pregnant? She's like, no, like, that's not what this is about. Then what's happening here? Where is this coming from? And Belly said, I want to get married, Mom. Like, we want to get married. Laurel says, you're too young. You're far too young. Then Jeremiah said, Laurel, we love each other. We want to be together. Laurel said, you are together. Did you know about this? Looking at his dad. And he's like, calm down, they're joking. Y'all are joking, right? Then they're like maybe after y'all graduate, like a few years after you graduate. So in the show, like it is a thing with the age, which obviously Belly in the show is 20, about to be 21. Jeremiah is 22. In the book, she's 18 or 19, and Jeremiah is like 21. Okay, 20 or 21. So in the book, it was a lot about y'all are way too young. In the show, it is still y'all, way too young, but it was more just like, this is so impulsive. Where is this coming from? Like, that's why they were angry. Like, where is this coming from? Like, y'all aren't even graduated yet. Don't get married. Like, marriage is such a huge deal. And just because you're dating for a few years doesn't mean that you're ready for marriage, because you haven't even experienced adult life yet. You haven't even left college yet. You don't even know what life is like outside of school yet, because you went from high school straight to college. You don't even know what the real world is like, okay? So she puts her engagement ring on, same thing. It was the only thing I could think to do. But in the book, it says, when I reached for my water glass, Jeremiah saw the ring and squeezed my knee again. My mother saw too. Her eyes flashed and she looked away. In the show, they do the whole like, don't you see this? Like, girl, where is it? I can't see. Like, what are you showing me? Like, your nails pretty? Like, what are you showing me? It's like, it's really, I don't know. It's odd the way they're doing it. Because obviously in the book, she's just like, she puts it on underneath the table and she grabs her drink. She goes to take a drink. Like, that's how she did it. In the show, it's like flaunting. It's like, yeah, we decided this. Yeah, this is happening. Look at the ring, blah, blah, blah. Like, then Steven's whispering to Conrad, oh my God, man, this is crazy. Did you know about this? And she said, I heard Conrad tell him no. Outside, he hugged my mother goodbye. Then he got in his car and drove away. He didn't look back once. Then they do the whole, like, you're returning that ring. You're not going back with Jeremiah. You're not going with Jeremiah. You're coming home. Jeremiah's just like, both in the book and the show, just go. Let's let it calm down. We'll get it figured out. It'll be fine. Just go. Like, let's not make this worse. So in the book, Conrad drives away. Okay. In the show, they're leaving him at the restaurant. He didn't drive away. So I kind of feel like show-wise, just like, I don't know, I feel like that's them setting up for a Conrad point of view, and I really hope so. He's gotten like no screen time, and I love when he's on the screen, okay? I want to see his point of view. I really do, because we get that in this book, his point of view and things. Like, I'm skipping a lot of Taylor and Steven because that's not in the book, okay? It's just not in the book, and so I care show-wise, but book-wise, I really don't care. Because they're skipping out on so much with Conrad that I'm like, just get on with it. Just keep going. So these are my predictions for the next episode, or the next like couple episodes, or what I want to see as a book girl. Obviously, I'm wanting to see like Laurel and Belly talk about like what's happening, and like why it's all so sudden. I want to see them find out about him cheating. I really, really do. Like, he needs to be humbled. And I really want that to be a part of the conversation of why it's not okay. And I don't want them to play the whole, like, oh, it's not that big a deal. Y'all weren't together. Like, I don't want them to downplay it, because it's such a big deal. It's such a big deal. Like, that's unforgivable. Just like she said, that was the biggest betrayal of all, and it's unforgivable. You're just wanting to marry me to erase what you did. It is so true. It's so true. Like, oh my God. In the book, her and Jeremiah get to the point where they go to the cousin's house, and Conrad's obviously still staying there, just like in the book and in the show. He's staying there. And he's like, what are y'all doing here? And they're like, wedding stuff. And he's like, does Laurel agree? And they're like, no, but she will, whatever. I want to see, so from Conrad's point of view, chapter 28, this is page 155 in the book. Him and Jeremiah go surfing. There's just one part that I want to hear him say in the show and talk about, because in the book, he's like, he punches the water. He said, this is between me and Belly. He was marrying my girl, and I couldn't do anything about it. I just had to watch it happen because he was my brother, because I promised. Take care of him, Connie. I'm counting on you. So obviously they're surfing, and he has this moment within himself where he's like so angry. He's marrying my girl, and I couldn't do anything about it. I just had to watch it happen because he was my brother, and because I promised. Take care of him, Connie. I'm counting on you. That's what Susanna said to him before he died. So he's like, this is me taking care of him. I'm just letting it happen. Obviously, Belly chose him, so I have to be okay with it, right? And he's so angry about it. I also want to hear like the most iconic line. I want to hear it in the show. Conrad says, I would rather have someone shoot me in the head with a nail gun repeatedly than have to watch the two of them cuddling on the couch together all night. That's iconic. Like, that is how much he does not agree with it, and he's not okay with it, and he's not over her, okay? So anyways, that was episode 1, 2, and 3. I obviously am not very structured. I have ADHD, so it's very all over the place, and it's not going to be very organized. But that was just some of the scenes in the show and in the book. And if you have not read the book, again, I 100% recommend you do. It is everything. It's everything and more, especially if you are a Conrad girl. She gives us everything in here. She may not be giving us everything so far in the show with Conrad. She also said she's going to change the ending. I'm not spoiling the ending, but what? Like, please don't. Please don't. If you choose yourself, Belly, I'm going to be mad. For the sake of choosing a brother, I'm going to be mad. For the sake of Conrad, good for you. Okay? He deserves better, like I've said 100 times. So, anyways, I'm going to keep reading and tabbing and highlighting because it's so much fun for me. I'm going to keep romanticizing The Summer I Turned Pretty and, you know, having fun with it because why not? Life's too short. Have fun, annotate the book, rant about the relationship like it's your own. Like, come on. It's fun. Anyways, bye.